Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for trekking all the way up to the 5th floor right after the keynote, and my apologies for the room mix-up. All right, let's get started. So today we're going to talk about Guided Tour Designer and how you can use Guided Tour Designer to help training and onboarding on ServiceNow. So just quickly, safe harbor slide, we're going to talk about some of our future initiatives. So quick overview, we're going to intro Guided Tour Designer. We have a couple of demos. We're going to demo some new stuff that's coming in L, and then also some other things you can do with custom applications with Guided Tour Designer. All right, let me introduce Aditya.
Hey, good morning, folks. Really happy to see you all. Indeed a pleasure. I work for the platform engineering group. I take care of the Guided Tour Designer development program. And I've been with the store before, the app side of things, and I also take care of a couple of other platform engineering areas like the antivirus program. But this is definitely a favorite product that I own. So happy to be demoing after Andrew's session.
Okay, my name is Andrew Strieber. I am a product manager on the platform team at ServiceNow. I work on Guided Tour Designer. I also work on our usage analytics collection and our licensing auditing systems. All right, so we're just going to, just a quick agenda. We're going to do a little overview of Guided Tour Designer, why use Guided Tour Designer. I'll talk about what's new in K, as well as what's coming in L. And then we will build, we'll show sort of building tours for a custom application, as well as for Service Portal. And then we'll also show how to publish and package and publish a tour. And then I'll also show a little bit of our analytics. So the reason for Guided Tour Designer, what we aim to do with this product is, I know training and onboarding new users is a challenge in a large enterprise. Often traditional methods, people rely on documentation, they do live sessions, web training, but all of that has a short shelf life. Documentation gets stale, you do a new release, you do a new customization, you change your process, and then that documentation is out of date. You do an in-person training and people leave and they don't retain all the information, or perhaps they have a reference manual, but they have to go back to the reference manual. So it's not really an efficient way to bring users on and to train on simple processes of how to use ServiceNow or how to interact with ServiceNow according to how you want them to adhere to your policies. And additionally, users prefer to have self-guided training when they're using the application that they want to learn. So rather than going to a session and listening to a bunch of information and watching demos and then going back to their machine and trying to do it themselves, it's much better to have that training in the moment that they need it. So what you can do with Guided Tour Designer to solve these issues is, we support creating a tour for ServiceNow applications, for Service Portal, and for custom applications. And the nice thing about Guided Tour Designer is these aren't, out-of-box tours. These are things that you create yourself. So you can tailor these tours to your flow, to your processes, your policies. If you've customized something or you've got new widgets on Service Portal, you can have the tour work for how you've implemented ServiceNow. It's not something that's very, fixed and rigid. And then once you publish those tours, they are available on the page at the moment when the user is looking for them, right? So they get to that page, there's a tour available, they can see that there's information that there's a tour available, they can take the tour and complete it. Additionally, with Guided Tour Designer, because training and onboarding is it's just something that's usually done by a lot of people throughout an organization. So we endeavored to make this a very low-code tour creation experience. There is a form view with pro code ability. You can do more complicated things, but you're not limited in the low-code experience. You can create a full tour with all of the features that we support within a simple drag and drop interface. So, you can drag callouts to any element on a page. You can select different types of triggers. So whether you want to have a next button or prompt someone to click or to enter text or to click enter. And you can also control when to publish or unpublish your tours, all from this drag and drop interface. It's very simple to use. Additionally, this is just a little information on how users access tours and then also sharing tours. So in our standard ServiceNow UI, the embedded help pane has usually will have contextual help around pages. This is also where guided tours appear. So when you develop and publish a tour for a page, user comes to that page, this question mark icon will be highlighted. You open that up, you'll have the embedded help pane come out, and this will show you a take a tour button. If you have multiple tours, it'll show you can open that button and you can see all the different tours available to you for that page. Additionally, you can share tours. So this sharing option is done from the tour designer interface. And this is something that allows collaboration during the creation of tours. So you can easily have a tour in a draft state. You can make half the steps. You want to have a text review. You want someone else to finish it. You can easily copy that share link and send it, and it's only available to someone who loads that link. The tour is not published. It's not available to the public yet, but it's something that allows collaboration in the tour creation process. Additionally, talk a little bit about what we've done in K. But before that, actually, I wanted to step back. One thing that I want to highlight also with tours is tours can be tailored to individual roles. So when you create a tour, and I'll show this when I demo a tour creation flow, but when you create a tour, you can set which roles you want the tour to be targeted to. So this allows you, if you have different security configurations for different pages and you're hiding certain elements for certain roles, you can tailor multiple tours on that page to different roles. So each person with that role will only see the tour that's available to them and will show a page that's relevant to them. You'll never be in a situation where there are tour elements or there are tour steps on elements a person can't see. So it's a nice convenience ability to make sure that you don't have any tour issues. So in K, we focused a lot on Tour Designer. Tour Designer is a relatively new product. So in K, we focused on accessibility. So we support WCAG AA accessibility for our tour playback and our tour designer. So that drag and drop interface I showed, that's also entirely keyboard accessible and works with voice narration as well. So you can do every step of tour creation and publish all with keyboard access. Additionally, we have a dashboard that we've rolled out, and I'll show a live version of this at the end. But so basically, we want to give you some metrics on how your tours are doing. So you can publish a number of tours. You can track how many are completed, how many are dismissed, how many had failures. If you have maybe issues where a tour doesn't load properly for a person or a step doesn't load, you can identify those issues and you can fix them. You can see what your most popular tours are. You can see what pages are the most popular where people launch the most tours. Maybe these are pages where you can identify that there's a flow issue. And there's challenges. Additionally, and I don't have a screenshot of this, but you can pop onto the other tab and you can actually see individual results of who's taking your tours, who completed them, who dismissed them. So if you have a situation where you want to ensure that a team all completes a series of tours for an onboarding exercise, you can track who has finished each tour and who maybe dismissed it. So additionally in L, there's a couple new things that we did. The big one is we rolled out full support for Service Portal. So as of K, Guided Tour Designer works for all standard UI applications, but now in L, it will work for Service Portal. So this is, for us, was a really important part of our roadmap because obviously this is where the requester experience often is and where tours we think will be some of the most relevant to end users. And it supports multiple portals, multiple pages within portals, and I'm going to walk through a Service Portal tour in a moment, but it's pretty much full support for Service Portal. Additionally, we added the ability to include an introduction and conclusion step. So rather than a tour simply just launching out of nowhere, you can actually have a welcome, a splash page welcome information on, this is my tour and, welcome to the Service Portal and here's what you're going to learn in this tour. And then you can have a conclusion step as well, where you could add, additional links perhaps, or email information, or just general conclusion information. Let's, I think, ready to go to the demo.
Yeah, absolutely.
Trying to move quickly because we're going to do 2 demos for you. So, All right. It's back here. Let me just jump over. Can everyone see my screen okay? Okay. All right, so I am on an instance logged in as a user who has the embedded help admin role and the guided tour admin role. So that allows me to create guided tours, publish them, edit them as needed. I'm going to go ahead and create a tour. So I come here to the Create Tour page. And the Wi-Fi is going to be very slow, so we can enjoy watching this. Oh, I waited too. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to come to the Create Tour page. So this allows me to create a tour. So the scenario I'm going to do today is I have a I have the service portal. I want to walk my users through the process of how to order a new phone. I want them to access the knowledge base, check if they qualify to order a phone, check if they need managerial approval, and if they don't, then go ahead and walk them through the order process itself. So I'll do that all here in the service portal. So I will call this tour, let's call it, so this is the, by the way, I'm on Create Tour under the Guided Tour Designer area of the navigation pane. So I will just call this Ordering a New Phone. So from here, I can choose whether I want to make my tour for standard UI pages. And if I did that, then I would see a bunch of my standard UI pages. And then I'm going to hit Service Portal. And what you see in these drop-downs is controlled by what other roles I would have. So if I have Guided Tour Designer or Guided Tour Admin and Embedded Help Admin, I would be able to make tours for pages that I'm allowed to access. So if I can access Incident, I can make a tour for Incident. If I don't have access to that, I can't make a tour for it. So I'm going to go ahead and select Service Portal. So I can pick from any of my portals. These would be out-of-box portals or portals you create. Then I'm going to pick my starting page. I'm going to go ahead and pick the index page. And this is where I could tailor my tour to various roles. I'm going to go ahead and skip that and make this a general tour available to everybody.
Yeah, the Wi-Fi is...
Yeah, apologies for the Wi-Fi. Okay, so I've loaded Guided Tour Designer on the Service Portal interface. So let me start by creating an introduction. So I'm going to want to welcome people. Now I'm going to spare everyone watching me attempt my typos. And I have pre-typed all of my tour steps out, and I will paste them. Trust me, it's pretty ugly if I try to type this live. So, all right, so I'm going to paste in my information. So this is a general welcome screen. I'm going to talk about the employee portal. How do you, this is where you get help. This is where you can order a phone. And I'll walk sort of, this is what this training is about. I'll go ahead and save this. And now as you see, this introduction step is turned red. So this means I now have this. I can always open this up at any time. I can edit it. I can also delete it if I wish to. So I'm not going to do that right now. So at this point, I am going to start making steps for the tour. So if you see, we have these 4 call-out icons up here. These are the 4 call-out positions that you can attach to pretty much any element. Our system will detect when a call-out will actually display properly. So if you try to drag one that's not going to actually fit to an element, if it's going to get cut off by the screen, you'll get an error message at that point saying this element won't fit in this area. So I happen to know that this one will fit. Oops, my Wi-Fi is really slow. Why am I dragging? Hold on, I'm going to refresh this.
Yeah, the Wi-Fi.
Sorry, it's not loading very well today. There we go. Okay. Maybe it'll speed up. Okay, now we go. All right, so now I'm going to drag it over here. So I'm just going to drag this call out here, and I'm going to sort of introduce where you go and order something. And I'll just pull, I have some step text about how let's order a new my phone. So I can paste it in here. You can type this live. It doesn't matter. You can put HTML in here if you wish to. As you see, if I open this up, I have a number of different trigger options at this point. These trigger options change dynamically based on what the element is. So if it's not a clickable element, it's not going to give you the option to say click this element. But in this case, it is a clickable element, so I have the option to trigger my next step on click. I can do it on mouse over, right click if I wish. So I'm going to go ahead and just say the next button for this one. I just want an information step. I'm just going to sort of say some general information here. So now I'm going to go ahead, and this time I want to point them to the knowledge base. So I want people to go here and check if they qualify to order a phone before they do so. So let me go ahead and take my text. I will paste it in. All right, and now I'm going to say trigger the next step on click. So I want the user to click this item to continue the tour. OK. So at this point, I've introed the tour, I've introed ordering something, and I have a click on the knowledge base. So tours support multi-page flows. So you can make a guided tour that spans as many pages as you like. All you have to do is in the actual tour designer interface, you just click through to the page. So the tour designer, you stay in the tour designer interface the whole time, and you can follow the path of where you want the tour to go. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and say search for my phone. So I'm going to go ahead and put an element here on the search. Let me pull my text. I'll just say, I don't think I wrote that one. Now you do get to watch me. See? It's terrible. And I'm going to say trigger my next step on enter key. OK, now I'm going to go ahead and search for my phone. There. Now I want them to read this article here. So let me drag a bottom call out. And I'm going to highlight the article title. So one thing I want to call out here is I chose the bottom call out, and I picked it, and I dragged it over here. But if I decide when I'm here that I actually don't like this positioning, I do have the option. So I can go ahead and change this to above if I wanted to at this step of the tour. So I don't have to cancel and drag another one. I can go ahead and just do that. I am going to go with below because I do like that. So I'll say all right. So at this point, I'm going to say read this article. And then I'll say again, actually, I'm going to drag it to a different spot. I'm going to go ahead and drag it all the way here. I want to highlight the whole, I want it to display in the right place. So now I will paste that text in. I'm going to say trigger it on the click of this. Hit save. OK. And so as you see, when I add a step to this page, this is red. And the previous steps are in black, and they say not found in current view. So these are the steps for the previous page. So this is how you can sort of understand how many steps are on each page you're on when you're in a multi-page tour flow. All right. I will jump now into the article. And I will just highlight the article text itself. And I will say, this confirms you qualify. So let's order the device. I'll use next step as the next as the trigger step. So obviously, this is a pretty abbreviated tour for the interest of time. So I'm just going to say, oh, you read this, you qualify. Let's go ahead and order it. I already have a link in here to do that. Normally, you could walk them through multiple, knowledge-based articles. You can go through Q&A. Just depends on what you need to do. So I'll just immediately say, yes, you will qualify. Go get yourself a new phone. Congratulations. I will say click here, save. And as you see, when I save, it pops up a little number on the area where I placed my step. And additionally, it adds it back into the designer. Once it's in the designer, I can also, besides deleting it and clicking it to open it to edit, I can also change the order. So if I wanted to, I could put it, so now, I really want that to be step 5. Or maybe I really don't. I want to stay at step 6. So I can drag those around within the page that I'm on. All right, let me drill into this article. All right. All right, so now I will just go ahead and say order now. So this would say, I'll skip that part and say confirm the number of phones you want. Order now. I'll say click on this button. So I've highlighted this element again. I'm going to say I want, how many phones should I get? Let's get 5. Why not? Let's have some fun. All right. So now I click order now and I hit this light box. At this point, I can also drag steps to this element, even though it's just within the same page. So if I go here, I can drag a call out over to the text in here. And then I will say, I'll put in some information about what you do here, and then I'll say simply, since we're not actually ordering the item, I don't want to actually click checkout and order 5 phones as part of my training, because that would be inconvenient. I'm going to ask people to instead close this light box and click next. At this point, I've saved my element here. I am going to close it. And now I'm done. So I'm going to go ahead and add a conclusion. So I will paste in my conclusion text. And I have created a 8-step tour with intro and conclusion on ordering a MyPhone. At this point, there's a couple different things you can do. You can create these on subprod, obviously, and deploy to prod. But you also are able to control whether tours are published or not on your prod instance. Right. So at this point, this is in an unpublished state. I can preview it, but I also have the ability to publish it right here. So this is something that, so Azure, if you want to create something on live, or if you need to make edits, you can take it out of, or if you simply don't want it to be available anymore, you can take it out of its published state, put it into draft mode. It'll still be fully editable. All existing analytics and data on people having taken it in the past will still be available to you, but it simply will not be available to end users when they reach that page. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and publish this tour. I am feeling confident, and I get a little confirmation, and now the tour is live. So now that I have done that, I'm actually going to take this one out, and I'm going to demo a tour. So let me close this out. I'm going to go ahead and log in as a person with no roles, just a requester. Miss Gloria Swanson. All right, now I'm going to jump over to the service portal. So on the service portal, there's 2 things I want to call out. Guided tours for service portal specifically is controllable via a property. So when you enable the property to use guided tours in service portal, then you will have tour creation functionality. You can edit tours that are, if you had created tours in the past and made it inactive for some reason, you disabled the property, when you re-enable it, you can edit those tours. And this tours menu element is available to add to your guided tours, or your service portal menu. So when you have that property disabled, you cannot add this item to the menu. Once that's enabled, and I've created a tour for service portal, this tour's menu item, will have a blue icon next to it. So this indicates that there are tours present on this page. This displays only when there are tours present, and if I'm a user with a role and I don't qualify to see the tour, if I've targeted my tour to a specific role, I have a different role, I'm not going to see a blue icon. I'm just going to see an empty tours menu item that says there are no tours available. So at this point, I've got my tour, so I do want to launch it. And so now I can see, welcome to the new employee portal. This is my intro text. This is my highlight of my ordering. All right, it asks me to go to the knowledge base, asks me to search for my phone, asks me to click on the subsequent link, open the KB. Okay, it goes through the article text, tells me to read it, asks me to go home. I added there are a couple more steps here I cut for length of time. Now I'm going to go here to the order something. This takes me back to the main page. I can go through, shows me how I can browse. I can select hardware, and now I have my phone. So let me go into my phone record. I can order. It tells me to close this, and click next, and I hit my conclusion. So I've created a tour for Service Portal. So now I want to jump over to, let me go back and log back in as my guided tour admin. And at this point, I can take a look at my analytics. Eventually. Okay. So obviously we've created a lot of tours and done a lot of testing on this instance. So you see a number. So this is a list of, all that's going on right now on my instance with guided tours. I can see all my dismissals, my failures, my completions. These are the top tours that are completed. These are the pages that most people are watching where they're launching tours. The last thing I want to call out before I turn it over to Aditya is auto launch. So in addition to being able to create that tour and have that in the menu item showing with a blue icon, I can set any of my tours to automatically launch for people. So that would be here in this configure auto launch page. So if I come here, I'll see a list of all the pages where I have active tours right now, and it'll tell me how many tours I have on each of those pages. So I'm going to go ahead and back into my service portal page. All right, and this shows me all the different tours. This is the one that I had just created. It shows me this one is in draft mode, right? So I can set it to auto launch, but it's not going to do anything, and it'll tell me it's not going to auto launch till it's actually published. So I'll go ahead and take that away. Actually, no, I won't. I'm going to show one more piece of that. So I'll turn that on. Yeah. And then I will set the one that I published to auto launch. The other thing you can do is you can actually set an order of auto launch. So if you wanted to have a multi-tour experience on a page where someone takes a tour, hits completion, and then another tour fires immediately after that, say it's you have multiple training modules, you want them all to run at once, one after the other automatically, you can do that. You just set each one to auto launch and you set your order of auto launch preference. So I'm going to go ahead and take this one away. As you see, this will just update, and now my published tour is number 1 in the auto launch, and auto launch is enabled. So now I'm going to go back, re-impersonate Swanson. I'm going to go and load service portal. And as you see, instead of my selecting it from the menu item, it automatically launches right away. So at this point, the last thing I want to point out with auto launch is I can, if I am Gloria and I am not interested in this tour, I can hit X. I don't want it anymore. It'll give me a little prompt saying, am I sure I want to stop auto launch? I want to end auto launch. And then I can also apply this for all tours on the page. So at this point, I have overridden auto launch. I don't want to see this anymore. So that way, if you have auto launch set, you can prompt people that there are tours here if maybe they're not actively looking for tours, but at the same time, you don't have to force them to take the tour. And you don't have to force them to see that every time they come to the page. I'm not going to show it, but just a neat trick is, if you are the admin, you can also go in and see who has dismissed a tour and set the auto launch to disabled, and you can re-enable it. So if for some reason you think, this person really needs to take this tour, you can do that.
Yeah.
All right, so I think that's it for my part of the demo on Service Portal. I'm going to turn it over to Aditya, who's going to do this for our custom app. Let me turn on your machine.
All right, thanks Andrew, I appreciate it. So my part of the demo is not going to be part of the service portal thing, but I'm going to show you how, as a developer, you can actually package the guided tour designer as a part of your application. So what I'm going to do is create a super fast application out of the studio, create a guided tour for that, and push it to the Git repository so that you can actually see that as a part of your entire packaging. So let me go ahead and quickly load the studio and quickly create an application with just one table. So studio is our internal development framework where you can actually create quick applications. So let me create a custom application. I'll just choose that and let me name it manager rules. Let's say there were a bunch of rules that Andrew actually set up for actually purchasing a phone. So this application could be a feeder for that. So I'm just creating, let's say, manager for app rule. And let me create a table out of that. Let me not modify any of this. Let me leave it as it is in the interest of time, and probably I'll just auto number that. All right, and let me go ahead and quickly say create. And it says you want to create the app. Yes, I do. So it has created an application for me with one table. So let me just open that. as a part of this. And you see there is a bunch of tables and the rest of the stuff. Let me go ahead and add an application file. I'll go to the form designer side of the world and create a form, right? I'll just click on next. Okay, let me just go and create one. So I have my table here, right? Let me also, let me just go back and create a couple of columns on the table. Okay. So let me just create a new column quickly called, let me call it a string type. I just want two columns on the table. One is the rule number, another is the rule name. All right, let me just create one. Rule number. It's a simple application, just takes two columns. That's all I'm creating, nothing special here. And let's say I make it 256 and just submit it. Let me again create a new column. I'll call it the rule. I'll make a string type again and just call it the rule text. Right. And let me make it 256 too. Right. Let me go to the form designer and you will see a bunch of columns. Let me make this two columns just for brevity and let me move this guy. So you can do a lot of, this is not a form designer session, but I just want to say, let's say you are a developer creating a new application and you want to package guided tools as a part of it. Let me go ahead and quickly save this guy. And all it does is it has saved, this form essentially. So what I will also do is quickly go back to the form. Let me just refresh this so that it shows up there. And I have created a bunch of, okay. So manager rules, this was the table that I created. And let's say I create a new column. I can see this here, right? So I can see this is the form that I created. Let's say this is my application and I want to build a guided tour. I know this is a 101 form, but yes. So what I can do is there are two ways to do this essentially from the studio. If you're a developer, let's say you have a bunch of developers whom you're asking, hey, as a part of your tool design, you just need to build this. One thing you can do is you can directly add the guided tours right out of the studio, or you can definitely, you can just go to your normal flow that Andrew kind of showed, which is create tour. And I'll choose the standard UI, my tour, right? And I will say the starting page is, okay, so I just need to figure out. I will pick up. So you can choose either to jump on directly into the table or the list view. I'm going to just go and just do it for the table form and then say click on create. See, we have a standard form that has come in, so I'm just going to drag and drop. Just type, enter the rule number. Remember, this is for the standard forms and lists that I'm creating. You could do this for Service Portal too. Click on next. I'm just going to say okay. And it's created a step. And then I'm going to just ask him to submit, just one additional step. I just go and drag and drop, put it on the submit the rule, right? And I will choose, you have multiple options because you're clicking on an element, submit button, you want it to end at that point. So I'm just going to click save. So technically my tour is essentially created here. Did I click on save? Okay, all right, thanks to the Wi-Fi. And as Andrew showed, you just need to publish your tour. And if you go back to your studio, let me just open studio again. And I go back to my manager for studio application, you should essentially see the guided tour has been actually added as a part of your application. So guided tour is essentially designed such that it's part of your application deployment. So let me do an interesting thing now. It may be a little advanced for a few, but if you are a developer and you're actually publishing it to a repository, what I will do is go ahead and create a repository. I'm just going to GitHub. It could be any repo. Let me say demo 1. All right. Okay, demo GTD1. All right. So yeah, it's there. I just go and create a public repository. It's ready. And what I go ahead and do, this is a public repository that I created. All I want to show as a part of this demo is publishing. And I go to the studio. Where was that? Sorry. There you go. And I link it to the source control. So I just say, hey, demo GTD. This is my personal email address. Please don't copy this. I should have planned something else.
Cameras up, please. Right.
Okay. Link to source control. So what this will do is essentially push your application into source control in Git repo. So now you essentially have this packaged well as a part of your repository. So what you could do is actually go back to your Git repo, and if you just see, it should have actually pulled up everything. And if you go to the update folder, right, you would essentially see all your tours added as a part of your application repository. The interesting thing is now you can, now let me go to another quick instance, GTD001 maybe.
Or 003.
003 maybe. Yeah, it's a little slow, but yeah. So it's a separate instance. I've gone to a separate instance. Let me just open Studio there, right? And I'll import it from source control, right? Import the tour. Okay. Cool. So I've imported manager rule 2 into another instance, and essentially the tour essentially comes along with that, right? If I go ahead and actually play that, let's say I go back to this instance, I'm going to exit the studio. And yeah, I'm already on 003, and it must have pulled up that application. Manager 4, sorry, manager 3, or did I? Okay, I'm just checking. Oh, I imported into, hold on. Let me just check the studio.
Refresh.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we have some experienced.
Fixes everything.
Yeah. No, it's actually, that's true, because it's a preloaded JavaScript list that you're seeing on the right. So essentially, I could not find it. That's exactly right. Thank you. 4. Yeah, there you go. So if I go here to new and take a tour. There you go. So I've imported it to another instance, packaged it through Studio, and essentially, that's the power of being able to integrate it as a part of your entire application development. And this is not just limited to the form side of the world, but you can package guided tour as a part of your any application that you potentially would put on store also. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
All right. That's a quick demo. We have another.
I think the last thing I want to do is we have a couple of quick facts about guided tours that I just wanted to reiterate. So the roles that you need to create a tour, you need the guided tour admin role, you need the embedded help admin role, and then obviously access to whatever applications that you want to create a tour for. This is new in Jakarta, this application, and in K we added, as I said, accessibility and analytics, and then in L we have added service portal support, intro and conclusion steps, and the ability to publish and unpublish tours. Last thing, these are the key pages and tables for creating tours, looking at tours as a reference. And then some of the other things that we'll be doing, some of our roadmap initiatives, we're going to be supporting additional types of ServiceNow applications. Some of the things that I think are going to be talked about at the keynote. Some of the keynotes later this week, we're working to have guided tour ability for those new applications. We're going to be expanding some of the metrics in our dashboard. So you're going to be able to see things like conversions, so how many people start a tour and how many people finish a tour, as well as identify when tours are having issues or failing for people, and understand why that's happening, in case you've maybe made a tour that is targeted to a role that actually can't see one of the steps, or there's some other issue that's created in your tour flow. You can easily find those and identify them. We're going to have a lot of additional options for call-out positioning. As I showed you, you have those sort of 4 main areas. We're going to do some things like highlighting the element that's being pointed to, some other things around that. And then generally, we're going to do some more improvements around the creation and managing of tours. We're going to have a bigger managed tour homepage where you can do a lot of cool things to really see what tours are active and what their status is, what settings you've already configured for them, and do that all in one spot instead of needing to jump around. All right, just the takeaways, for Guided Tour Designer is, this product is designed to help your users easily onboard or train, especially, small flows, custom processes you have in your enterprise. You can easily present them with a simple flow. It could be 20 steps, it could be 5 steps, it doesn't really matter, but engage them at the moment that they need help. It's very easy and quick. I mean, we made 2 tours, and we even published one to a separate instance, all in 25 minutes. So it's very quick and easy. It's all low code. You really don't need any coding ability to create a tour. And then it's compatible with most of our standard UI, service portal, custom applications. All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I think we're ready for questions and answers.
Thank you. So we have 5 minutes for any Q&A.
Does anyone have any questions? We have 5 minutes for Q&A.
We've got Q&A, we have 5 minutes.
We have someone with a microphone.
Yeah. Can you turn her microphone on, please?
Is it on? There we go. Go ahead.
For the auto launch feature, is that like if you view it once, the next time they go there, will it launch again?
Can't quite hear you well.
Say it a little bit louder.
Sorry. For the auto launch feature, does it tell if you've seen it before and stop, or does it go every single time that you go to that page?
When you complete the tour or dismiss the tour, it doesn't come back for you.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes. Unless you override that and force it to show again.
A couple of quick questions. One is, can you enable this on individual catalog items, or is it just strictly on pages?
Yes, you can. You can do it for individual catalog items. So I didn't show that, but in the form view, you can edit a tour from in the form view, and there's an additional option to add a URL parameter. So you can specifically do this exact page, this catalog item. So you can create, a lot of customers do create dummy catalog items and things like that to do a tour. You can do that absolutely.
One more question is in regards to, can you add these to update sets and promote them up, or do you have to do it through source code?
I
didn't hear you, sorry.
Can you promote this up through update sets, or how do you technically?
Yes, you can make it a part of, essentially when you're publishing it through the studio, it's essentially an update set. So you can essentially make it part of your update set. It'll get added to your scoped application automatically, yeah.
Cool.
Absolutely. I created a scoped application there, yeah. Yes, sir.
You showed the possibility to auto-launch that, but I saw that it's possible for the user to skip that. There's some property or something that you can force the user to really go through the entire guide without skip?
Oh, I see what you're saying. You cannot take away the ability to dismiss an auto-launch tour at present. You can reset a tour to force it to auto-launch again. So, but you cannot actually say this tour is not dismissible.
Yes, you can't enforce that, but yeah, we still want to give the end user an option to kind of dismiss it, like not an annoying pop-up.
But that is interesting feedback. If you have a flow that you absolutely want everyone to take, we'll take that as
you want to enforce, but we have analytics to essentially kind of track down if somebody has done that. So you can say, hey, he's not even taking the tour, but that's still possible, but That's a
Yeah.
good feedback.
And you can see that by individual user. So you can see if someone is if you have a mandatory tour, you can go into the analytics and see who has not completed this mandatory tour. So you can track that on a per user basis.
Yeah, I noticed that you built a guided tour for the service portal and you built a guided tour for a form page. What about other types of pages? Like we have a number of custom applications where the user's entry point is really a list view for the application.
You can build on the list view.
A content management page in the classic content management system. Can they be built for those types of pages as well?
Correct. On the list view, definitely you can build, but if you're actually building a completely custom UI, let's say an Angular page or a React page, which is completely, so we don't support that in this release. So
What about just for the standard list view? Like
Yes.
you should, yes, you can do that.
List view,
contents of a table, and that's the user's entry point. If they choose
Yes, you can do that.
absolutely. Anything in the standard forms and list UI,
You can do that.
you can do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you mentioned that you can create a tour that's role specific. Can you then easily like copy that tour and make a few tweaks to make it fit in like another level of role?
I didn't hear.
Or cloning.
So for example, like if you make something and it's for a user with limited access, and then you say, okay, well now the manager, they just have a few more steps. So I want to copy the users and then make it like adjust it to make it for a manager without recreating it one by one.
I'm sorry, there's a lot of echo, but
Copying a tour.
Well, yeah.
oh yes, you can do that. You should be able to do that. Again, this is just on 2 tables right now. So what you could do is essentially copy that. Just make sure that the sysid is different, and you're all set. It's pretty straight, and then you can edit it for somebody. But we don't have the copy feature, which is an interesting feedback. We should.
Yeah, absolutely. It's doable. It's not doable within
doable
the
through the
designer
backend.
low code interface.
You should be able to do
That is
that.
good feedback, though.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
Get the last one right now, and then you guys, I think, might be able to take comments afterwards.
Sure.
Is it possible to create conditional steps, steps that only appear when certain conditions are triggered? For example, if you're entering a change and the change doesn't meet the minimum lead time, is it possible to create steps that only appear in that circumstance?
Not at the moment.
Yeah,
That's something we're investigating.
Yeah,
We have heard this feedback before.
Yeah.
So, but not in the current state.
But let's say you have different views for different users. So you can essentially create different tours with that specific view. So let's say we don't have multiple, each one has a different view, and you want to conditionally create, but you essentially have to create individual tours for each role today. Yeah, and auto launch it. Yeah, I mean a workaround way of doing that.
All right, let's take a couple more.
So besides the support for Service Portal in London, what else we get in Kingston? Everything else available out of
Yeah,
box?
in Kingston you get everything. The things you wouldn't get in Kingston are the service portal support, the intro and conclusion steps, and the ability to control the publish flow. So in Kingston, if you created a tour on prod for some reason, it would be live immediately. Probably nobody does that, right? But so in L, the benefits you get are service portal support, the ability to add those intro and conclusion steps, and to manage the publish flow, to put it in draft or publish mode on either subprod or prod.
The second part of the demo, whatever I showed you, all of that you can do in Kingston.
Yes.
So just a question. So in Kingston, we cannot move through update sets?
Oh no, yes you can. You can.
We move a published.
Yeah, the draft and publish buttons I was showing in the service portal, those are not in Kingston, but you can manage the publishing of tours by deploying via update set.
Okay, thanks.
Any plans to add additional granularity for other than roles? Are you planning to enable or disable for groups or like departments or anything?
This is also something we're looking at. Yeah, absolutely. I can't commit to anything, but we are investigating, groups, user criteria, some other sys user filter conditions, things like that. Absolutely, we're looking at that.
Thank you.
There is a gentleman at the back.
There's someone in the back behind.
Hi. To add to the gentleman's question, if it goes in the draft state, now once we publish it and someone's dismissed it once saying that I don't want to reload it, now we made some changes, does it automatically go back to auto launching, or do we have to do it manually again?
the state of auto launch won't change. You'll have to republish.
You'd have to, yeah. You would either republish or reset the auto launch dismissal for the users.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure, thank you.
Is there a way to do, gosh, that was loud. Is there a way to have it do audio? Is it text to speech, or can you record voice, or it's just text?
Right now, just text.
It's just 16.
Is there a way to link knowledge articles?
Yes.
Knowledge articles, yes.
Yes,
it should work.
absolutely. You can do.
You can't link a knowledge article into that bubble, but you can provide a link.
So the user guides that you didn't follow, you didn't go over in the.
You can put in a link into the knowledge articles right out of that, and it'll launch.
Yeah.
But
you could have a link. It won't do it automatically, but you could, it's like, for example, in a conclusion step, insert a, view more information in this knowledge article and have a live link there, and they would be able to click it and go straight to the article.
Yeah.
But it won't auto go to a knowledge article.
Is this part of Jakarta, or is this a licensed additional application we need to purchase?
Part of Jakarta.
It's part of Jakarta.
No fee. This is all included.
And it's out of the box.
Out of the box.
So you get it out of the box.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, last one, guys.
All right.
Can you lock down clickable elements to only the one that you want them to select? Nothing else becomes clickable at that point?
No, you cannot do that.
So they can't deviate from your path that you...
No, the user can click on anything. When they do, we log that as a tour being abandoned. So if they click off to some other page, we'll log that and you'll see that abandonment, but we don't actually lock it right now. But that's pretty good feedback, actually. That might be something we could do.
All right.
All right, guys, can we get one final round of applause for our speakers?
All right, thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you so much.